In hash table, what's the first you can see hash table is a non-generic one. Whenever we say the non-generic one, it means that it can take any kind of data type. There is no restrictions for the data type. So whenever we say the non-generic, like array list is there, hash table, stacks, queues, all those are the non-generics. And list and dictionaries are the as generic ones. So basically, what is a generic and what is non-generic? Generic is the one which is a strong type, strong type in the sense the data type is um, very strong. There means we have to predefine the data type. It will take only the similar kind of data type. You cannot mix the different kind of data types in the generic collections. Those are the strong data type, strong collections we can say, or the safe type. In non-generic, you can club different data types. So there are not type safe. Like you can see the hash table is there. Hash table, hashtag doc, add. Here we can add any kind of data type. String is there, and the number is there. Even the what you say text we have added. But if you see here the dictionary is a first thing you need to remember is the dictionary is a generic one. Whenever I say generic, what is the meaning that it is type safe. It is type safe. Okay. When we say the type safe, then the data type is strict. We cannot club different data types. Only the one data type that we have to predefine. Okay. So you can say that if it is doing the same data type, then we can go for the array also. But array is that in arrays we cannot give the key. We cannot give our custom key there. In array, what will happen? The key will be like indexes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I want to pick any specific key, I have to remember the indexes. Here in the dictionary or the list in the hash table, keys are customized. Whatever the key we give our own defined, that key we can fetch it off directly. Means if you want to fetch with the student name or the class name, grade, school, these are the keys. And what is the value for the school? Here CBSE. What is the value for the grade? A. So this is the difference compared to the array and this collections. So basically the working structure here is in the dictionary. You can see this. This is a declaration of the dictionary. Dictionary is a keyword, and in the keyword, what we are storing the key and value, right? Now first we have to mention what is the data type of the key. It is a string or an integer. We have to mention well defined. But if you see in the hash table, we are not defining data type for key and values, because it is going to consider like an object. Whatever you enter, it is going to accept, and internally it is converting there. That's the reason we say it's are not safe. That's the reason we are saying it's a non-generic, because internally it is converting. Boxing and unboxing process is going to happen there. Boxing and unboxing means conversions of object to string to object. So the data type internally is keep on converting there. That's the reason we are not giving um, data types for the key and values in the hash table or even in the array list. Just we are creating the hash table or even in the array list, and just entering the values, whatever we want the values, we are entering everything, integer, string, boolean. But when it comes to the list and dictionaries, we are mentioning the both. Like hash table, dictionary will also have the key and values, but we have to mention data types for the key and value what we are preferring. If I want the dictionary of integer, then we have to mention integer and string. You can make the different, like if I want a key in a dictionary, key has an integer and the value has a string. That is possible, that is correct, you can make it up. It doesn't mean that both the key and the value both has to be string or both has to be integer, not like that. You can go for any data type. I want key has an integer, you can create. I want the key has an string but value has an integer, that is possible. But we have to mention well in advance. For example, if we create a dictionary here, that's a dictionary. See, if you type here, it's asking dictionary key comma value. So it's asking mention the data type for the key and mention the data type of value. I want the key has an integer, then you can mention integer data type, and the value will be the string. You can mention string. In this way, you can give the both integer and the string. But the values, when you giving the values, you cannot mix both. You cannot mix both integer and values in the while entering the values. Values has to be string only. Okay, for example, instead employee ID or employee information. Employee information. That's a new dictionary, right? So, what is that? Employee information dot add. Here you can see again the integer is saying int key string value means integer key you have to enter integer only now. Value we can enter string. First something else. So information. Okay. Here I cannot mix now. Like an hash table or array list, we are mixing like values. We are giving integer and string. Here we cannot give integer and string. It will give an immediate error. Compile time error we get it because it says you say value is integer. Then you have to give. Sorry, you say value is a string. We have to enter value only the string. And you said key is integer means the key has to be only integer. Means for both integer string like key and value we can mention the separate data types. There is no mandatory we have to keep the same data type. So it allows if you want to keep the same data type. If our requirement says we need the both same, then you can give the same integer and integer. Then you have to enter both key and value, both are integer. No, I want a string and integer. Value has a string, key has an integer. That is also possible. No, I want both string, key also string, value also string, because the key I want to give by the student name, class name. The value I will store the information about the student name. Then we can go with this example. Okay, first thing you have to remember, keep clear that dictionary contains key and value, but for those key and value we have to mention the data types well in before. Okay. Just I'm explaining the overview. In previous discussion we have discussed very detailed. But this is the first and second one. Second one is that how we are going to display the values. We are going to display the values using, if you want to go for the single display, then we can go with the object and then enter the key name. Key name is student class. Then the output will be 1. If you enter the key name has then student name, then output will be the test. Okay, the name is over there. Output will be the name. Okay, so here we won't feel much difference, but I want to show everything, all the 4 values. I don't want to go write one by one like this. I have the hundreds of the key and dictionary. I cannot keep on writing one by one. I need to go for the looping concepts. Okay, here comes the question. I want to go for the looping concepts, but the indexes are not the number. Previously what we did for the for array list or the list hash table, the indexes were in number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we are incrementing that numbers. But here we don't have indexes, right? So on what basis you will go keep on increment? To which you will increment? There is no indexes. In array we saw array index starts with 0. We can clearly see their indexes. Even hash table we can see the indexes, because hash table hashing concept internally it will come has a hashing concept. Internally it will convert this key to the hashing algorithm with the hash key it will convert, and based on that conversion it will display the values. But here there is no hashing concept here. It's a dictionary, just a key and value. So how we will iterate on what we have to iterate the things. So you can see here, this is a iterate as we did in the previous example. What we did, we took the student object and we took integer I equal to 0, lesser than the count, and increment. Here we are displaying both. Okay, why we are displaying here? We took element x. If you have seen that in the previous any example, we have not took element x in the arrays, array list, or hashing hash table list. We never took the element x. Here we are taking element x. Why we need to take this? Because internally dictionary is not storing only the key and value, but internally it is creating indexes also. Okay, this is the first key and value. Internally this key it is keeping in the index of 0, and second key in the keeping in the index of 1. So because it will help when we are going for the displaying everything. When we want to increment, we will internally it will create these values and it will iterate these values. First value index of 0, second value index of 1, third index of 2, and the fourth index of 3. So this is the reason you can see the name also element at 0. What is the element of 0? What is the key? Student name. Okay, it will fetch the student name. Element at 0 is student name is the key. And what is the value for the student name? Ajay. Name that will be displayed here. So on that basis internally it's working on. So for us for viewing when we see we feel only the two values, but internally it is keep on adding another value. Indexes is adding there. Based on the indexes it will keep the values. So based on the indexes it will keep the keys, and the respective value of that key will be displayed. Okay. So in hashing table if you have observed, the output will be not the same order as we given here. Name, ID, classes. It will come in the random. But in the dictionaries, it will come in the same order as we kept here. Because the indexes are the same order on what we have created. For the first term, like even in the array. First value, first index 0. Second value, second index 1. So it will display the same order because we are calling in the same order here also. 0 to keep on incrementing. In this case, the indexes are not 0 to 1. Here the indexes will be the hashing table will convert these keys into the hashing code. Name it will convert to the hashing code. ID it will convert to the some hashing code. When we fetch that name, whatever the hashing code order will be there, based on that order it will display all the things. So the order in the output it will be in the not in the same order on which we have given. Okay. So this is about the small revision about the dictionary and hash table. Okay. So this is what we had discussed in the previous class. Small revision about the hash table and the dictionary. Okay. So today and we will discuss about the functions and the methods. Okay. So I will share the methods and functions. So methods and functions. What do you mean by the methods or function? Both are the same. Don't confuse. Someone will say the methods and some will say the functions. Usually in the C or C++ we used to say the functions, sub-functions or sub-program. And here in .NET and even Java, just they are using the term methods, and equally they are also using the functions. Okay, methods, functions, sub-program or sub-function, all are same. Okay, what are those? Okay, we can say it's a method or a functions or sub-program or a sub-method. It's another piece of code. It's a separate block of the code. So as of now, you have seen now, we are doing all the programs, all the practice sessions in the main program itself, right? How lengthy it is, whatever it is, all we are writing in the same main function. We are not in the main function we are writing. So we are not dividing the code. However, the lengthier the part is, however, we are getting the confusion. We are not splitting it. We are writing all the code in only in the one method, that is in the main method we are writing. Okay. If the small program is there, then it's easy to understand. Okay. But when we go in the real times, or when we go with the complex things, writing all piece of code in the same part, it's very difficult to understand, and your program become very complex to manipulate. Okay. Not only for the purpose of lengthy, or it looks very um, mm, confusing, but you cannot optimize a code by using only the one function. If you're using only the main function to write everything, then there are a lot of drawbacks. First major one is that you cannot optimize the code. Hmm. I want the same piece of code. I am using some formula. That formula, or that piece of code, I need to use again and again. But if you're using that in the same only in one function, then how you keep on calling that? You cannot call that. So that formula or that piece of code, I need to be used multiple times. Then what I will do, if I am not using the method or functions, then that will be I'm keep on writing again and again wherever I want. I want that code in the line number 20 and the line 50 or line 70. I'll keep on writing again and again. So what's happening there? It's happening duplications, repetitive code, because I cannot reuse that, right? Everything in the same function, same method. Everything is in the main method only. So I cannot reuse that. It looks very lengthy. If any modifications came, I have to modify everywhere. Wherever I have written that code, wherever I written that formula. So that's the reason what they have introduced. They introduced methods or functions. So what they said, you write the program wherever you want. Whenever it comes to has a purpose of the reusing, or else if you want to divide the code, then create another method, create another sub program related to the main program. Okay, in sub program, write only the piece of code whatever you require. Then you call that, keep on calling many times. Okay. So for example, I have written on I'm calculating some mathematical operations. Okay, I have some formula for the area, or formula for calculating some circumstances, diameter. Okay, or what I will do, I will create some method, huh? Mathematical formula. Okay, and wherever I want, just I will pass the values, and I will call that method. So the same formula will serve for the multiple purposes. Every time there is no need of writing the formulas again. There is no need of writing the duplications. So it is a one common, you can think like it is common method that serves for the multiple things. Okay. So in the main program, we have to call the sub program, and in the sub program, the purpose of that code will be written over that. Okay, that's one way. And another one way is that there is something like we are calculating the names. Sorry, we are calculating some formulas, and then another scenario, we are only displaying the result. And in another scenario, we want to take the input from the user. In that way, we can divide the three functions. We can create the first function or the first method. Um, we can create the first method called read the user input. In reading the user input, in that method, you can write only the code relating to the taking the values from the user. After taking the values from the user, then it will call the second method. Whatever the value you took, calculate it. In the third method, in the third function, you can display it. So it is not making as a common purpose, but you are making the code looks very easy. You are splitting the code based on the functionalities. In the first functionality, in the first method, you are taking the input from the user, or you can say get values from the user. So whatever the values will be in that code, get values, you have to write only the code relating to the taking the values from the user. The purpose of that method only collecting the information, taking the values. Second method, the second method you have to create, you can create for calculating purpose. Whatever value you took, you are calculating there. Third method, displaying it. Whatever values you took in the first method and whatever you calculated in the second method, in third method you are just displaying the output. So here what we did, we created the three functions, and three methods are serving the different purpose, taking the values, calculating and displaying. So what it makes your code look very easy, very small, and very you're separating with the section wise. Every method has a separate specific kind of task, so it is very easy to debug also, and very easy to see, okay, this method only for the taking the input values. In further, if you want to take any more values, then we will modify only the method which is taking value from the user. Or in future, if you want to modify formulas, then we are not going to modify the all the things. You will modify only the method which is calculating, right? So on that purposes, we are going to use methods and functions. It will make the code easy, clean, and optimization. Duplication, whatever we used to do in the previous one, it will be avoided. How can we avoid the duplicate? The formula which we are using again and again, that we can create in a separate group or the separate method, and that method we can call wherever it is needed. Okay. So before creating the methods, we'll see the what are the important requirements for the methods. What we need to create the methods. Okay. So methods also something like a sub program where we have to create everything. So what we want for that, we want access modifier, return type, method name, and parameters. Access modifiers. Okay. Access modifier. What are the access modifiers? Access modifiers is something like an permissions, authorization we can say. So we can say like we have written that method. What is the accessibility for the method is that method anyone can use in that project, or if we creating this assembly, whoever using that assembly, anyone can use it, or within that only the single page, or within the only the single class. All those things are comes under the accessibility. Access modifier for public in the sense anyone can use it, means if you create the public method over the class, and different classes can also access this method. And even if you create the public method in the public assembly, then anyone using that assembly, he can use the public methods. Protected means within the same project, and private within the same class. Within the class only you can use that method. Outside the class, in the different class, we cannot access it. Okay. Return type. Return type methods are of two types. Okay. If you go on the types, there are many types, but in the return types there are two. The method which is returning the value, and method which is not returning the value. Okay. If you are returning the value, what data type is returning the value? If the method is returning integer, then the return type will be the integer. If the method type is the string, then the return type will be string. Okay, what if the method is not returning anything? It is just displaying the result. Then we can go for the void. You can see, right? Then we can go for the void. Void is a data type. It will say that there is no return type. It is not going to return anything. Okay. So when the method is not returning any return to the main calling function, then you can say, then we can use the void method. Void method in the sense there is no return type. It will be called, it will be display the value. Okay. And the method name. Method name is customized. We can give any method name. There is no restrictions. Like customize, no restrictions. But we cannot use reserved keywords. What are the reserved keywords? Means whatever the Visual Studio has created some code for it, which is already has some meaning, which is already doing some purpose of it. Like integer, we cannot create the method name calling the integer because we already know integer is a data type. Integer will store the numbers, so we cannot keep the integer as a method name. Right? So we cannot keep like a class. Class is an again code library is included in the namespaces. So apart from the reserved words and the keywords, we can use any unique name, student name, get student name. It has to be meaningful. Parameters. Parameters means what are the values we are sending to the methods. Okay. It will be very clear when we see the example. So all the things will be coming into the picture very easily. So parameters means if we create the subprogram we are creating, to create the subprogram, we from where we are calling, we have to pass a parameter because the method by default it doesn't contain anything. It's again empty. We have to pass what the value you are passing. If you are making as a formula in that method, to calculate we have to send the values. So you can see that here you can see that. This is the how we are the syntax for the methods. Access specifier. First we have to specify the access specifier, public, private, protected, and return type. What kind of value it is returning? If it is returning integer, then the return type will be integer. If it is returning a string, the return type will be the string. If it is not returning anything, you can go for the void. Void means the function is not returning anything. It's only taking the values and calculating and displaying here only. There is no return point. Function name. Function name you can go for the anything, any customized name, but we cannot use reserved words and the keywords. Parameter. Okay. Parameter again optional. If the function is taking any, if function needs any parameters from the calling function, then we have to pass the parameters. Or the function we don't need any parameters, we can call or else we can just take the input from the user, or just to take from the database values we are fetching directly. No need of extra parameters from the calling function. Then we can keep this as empty like a just open and the closing method. Okay. No, I want the values like we are calculating here. We don't have the actual values here. Then the calling function has to pass the whatever the parameter required to calculate. Okay. You can see here the methods without parameters. Means parameter is not required, not mandatory in the sense. If the functions required, functions depends on the parameter from the calling function, then we have to pass the parameter. Right? With parameter, but no return type. Yes, we want the parameter, we calculate here, but we are not returning the result. The result also we are displaying in the same method. Then return type will be the void. Here we are not returning anything here. So that will be called as a with parameters without return type. Without parameters without return type. With parameters with return type. So all are the possibilities we can do. In the sense, return type is not mandatory. We can calculate and we can display here. Okay. And parameter is also not mandatory. But if you're passing in the calling method, then we have to use here. If you're not passing in the calling method, then we cannot use. Then we can keep it here as a just opening and closing bracket. So the calling function definition and what we are creating in the method, it has to be same. His calling function is matching the sending the parameters. Then we have to use parameters. If it is not sending, no require of parameters here. Okay. Here I use the word arguments. Don't confuse again. Arguments are nothing but parameters only. Arguments and the parameters both are same. Okay. In some articles or some books they use the word arguments. Arguments are nothing but the different parameters. For this submethod I require parameters for two integer values, integer x and integer y. Or I need just two string. And remember that parameters can be of any type. You can pass a mix, integer, string, double, or only integer. So there is no strict rule. The parameter has to be only the specific data type. No, you can pass any parameters. It can be combined, integer, string, float, all the different parameters you can pass by separating the comma. Like you can pass like an integer x comma. It has to be separated by the comma. String name. Okay, by subtracting the comma, we can pass any number of parameters. There is any no strict rule that you have to pass only this type of data types or only this number. There is no numbers, and there is no strict rule which data type you have to pass. We can pass anything, but it has to be matching with the calling parameter from where you are sending it. Okay, that we'll see in the example, so it will be easy. Instance and the static is there. We'll see when we'll going for the OOPS concepts. Static method in the sense we can directly call with the class name. When we say the instance method, then we have to create within the class. So the variables will be there, instance variable within the class outside the methods. Okay, when we discuss about the OOPS concept, it will be more clear. First, we will see some simple examples. Okay, these are the example we have mentioned here. The same thing we will see in the example in the Visual Studio Editor. So it will be more easier than just theoretically assuming. It will be more easier to. First we will see the method. This is the main method. Okay. You can create any sub methods, any classes, whatever you do, but the entry point for your project, this is the main. Don't confuse when we create the many sub methods or many functions where it will start. That's the reason they given. That's a main. Whatever the program, whatever the classes, how many number of files you create, different files you can create here, different classes you can create here in the Solution Explorer. But the program is going to start from here on. That's 100% sure. Okay. So the starting point is here. If you want to control our program, if you want to call our main method, if you want to call our customized method, then we have to call from the main method. From there onwards, we can call from the different methods. But from main method, we have to start linking our code. What we'll do here? First method will be what we create here. Okay, first we create get student name, get student info we can create. Right? First we'll go for a small example. First we understand how it will work. Integer called sum marks 1. So I want to be the total of this. First we'll go for the what will be the sum of this. Just very small tool and support. Then we'll go for the different possibilities of the functions and method. Then total equal to this total I don't want to make here. I want to make in a separate method. So calculate sum. Calculate sum. I create this. You can see here it is giving the three um, warning and one error. Why this is giving warning? We have initialized it, but we have not used it. Okay, that we will use in the further, no issues. And why it is coming in the red color underlined? It says the sum does not exist. Whenever you do with this opening and closing brackets, it means that method. Okay, it says that sum does not exist. The method what you calling here, what you are using here, is not exist itself. Yeah, still it's in the process. So that warning, that error we can ignore as of now. And here I will make sure I will write public. What is the syntax? Access modifier, access modifier, and return type. Access modifier, yes, space return type, and method name and parameters. Okay. Okay, this is the syntax. We'll follow as it is. Okay, access modifier, public. That is not the two things, it's only one thing, access modifier. After access modifier, what is the return type? Okay, what will be the return type now? What I am doing calculation. For which I am doing the calculation? Calculation for the integers. Okay, then the output will be the integer only, right? So I need to return integer value back. To whom I should return? This total. This total as of now is default value is content 0. So I am using this sub function to calculate. After calculating, this total must be assigned with a value, right? So what will be the assigning value will be the integer. So I will return the integer data type. And the method name is a customized, whatever we can use. Apart from, with limitation to, we cannot use reserved keywords and data types. Okay, and remember, method name has to be same what you are using in the main function, for what you are calling. I am using a calculate function, I need to use here calculate function. I cannot use only the calculate total. Why? Because it is calling with this name. If this name is unable to match, unable to search, then whom it will call? Right? We are calling someone with a name. If you are calling with a different name, that person will never answer to us. So the same way here, we are calling this. That's the reason this is called as a calling function. Which is called this is called as calling function. The name has to be the same thing. So calculate total. Okay. Okay, the method is created. See, it is giving error. Why it is giving an error in the calculate sum method? So you can see the error what it is saying. Not all code paths return a value. Why it is saying not all code paths return a value? Because I mentioned return type is integer. Okay, you were saying you want to return a value, but you're not mentioning any return type here. Right? So as of now, what I will do? Integer total. I click on a variable and return I will do. Return. Now this error goes. Okay, because it is saying the value is not. If you have not assigned the value, then it says error. So this is done. It's the same method. Okay, static is by default is a static integer. Object reference. check preferences defined from figure properties program. Just a minute. The name is the same. It's in the same class, program class it is there. Let's static method. What we can call it is yeah. So here we are calling the function. So here we are doing the total. We will do the total. Equal to what I want, marks 1, right? So we copy this. Marks 1 marks 2 and marks.
Our screen is not visible.
Screen is not visible.
Yes.
No, it's visible, Pawan.
Visible, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
visible.
you can click on the like my name, right? Below some text.
Clicking twicely, but
You can see.
okay. Continue. I will once again connect it.
Okay. Yeah. Here you can see, right? Here it is giving error for the total marks 1, marks 2, marks 3. Why it is giving the error? Because these variables are not in this method, right? You can see the variables are limiting within the methods only. We mentioned what is the scope of these variables? The scope of these variables are within this method. We cannot use this variable outside the method here. For example, you can see here live, right? This variable, the naming is same, marks 1, right? Marks 2, marks 3. We are not unable to use here because the scope of these local variables, we call this as a local variables, scope will be the within the method. So the question arises here, I'm making calculation, but I'm unable to access this method. What is the way? That's the reason we are going to use as a we are going to use as an okay, what will pass here? Will pass as a marks. Okay, in the calling function also we have to mention it. Mention it. What we are using integer. Marks 1. Okay. Integer. It's giving error. Local variable of unassigned plus 2. Yeah. Just give it hardcode as value. Okay, you can see now there are no errors and no values. If you're not mentioning here any values like before, it will give an error because even I'm doing the total, because the value, the variable we are used here, it unable to access here. It's the main thing we need to keep in mind, accessibility. The scope of these variables are within this method. The limitation of these variables within the method, the scope. So what is the way to use this variable, same variables with the same marks, same values in the another method, how can I use, how can I link it? So this is, you're calling this method anyhow. So pass these values in this method. Okay, how should I pass? Just pass the saying the same variables what you want to use there. And in the calling function, in this calling function also, we have to match with the number of parameters what we are using. Here they are sending the 3 values, and if you go for the 2 values, then it will go another, because the signature is not matching. You can see here the sum, calculate sum takes 3 arguments, means it is searching for the calculate method with 3 arguments with 3 parameters. But here the naming is correct, but it is taking only 2 parameters, only 2 arguments. So it is saying with this signature I am unable to find what is the signature. Name plus parameters has to be same. Usually that we usually call it a signature. Matching points with name and parameter has to be matched. Name is matching, but parameters are not matching. It is saying I am searching for the calculate method which takes 3 argument. Is anything that calculate method with the 3 arguments here? No. So that's the reason it's giving an error. So now I will write with another parameter which is equal accept 3. And if I give the wrong naming here, then it is not going to take. Again it will give the error saying that calculate sum does not exist. So it says I am searching for the calculate sum method. I am calling calculate sum. There is no calculate sum in this calling function anywhere in your code. So the main thing we need to keep that naming has to match, same name, and the number of parameters has to be same. If you pass in 3 parameters, then it has to be 3 parameters. Okay. And one more thing. When you're calling here from the main method, there's no need of mentioning the data types, because these variables marks 1, 2 and 3 already mentioned the data types here. Okay. But here when you're calling function, we have to mention the data type, because this calculate sum is independent, right? As of now, it doesn't know which variable is going to come, which data type is going to come. That's the reason in the calling function we have to mention data type. Okay boss, I'm using the 3 parameters and that will be of integer type. So in calling function we have to mention data types. Okay. So we can do it here now. So what we did, we created the function and we pass the parameters and we are showing the parameters, displaying the parameters. Just we'll see. Control S and go for the debugger. We'll see how it is going to call, how it is going to jump from main method to the sub function or sub method. You can see now where the compiler is as of now. The code is in, it is calculating up to the, it came up to the calculate sum. Click is not yet called. Okay. So it is passing the 3 parameters with the values what we have assigned here, 50, 65, 98. Press F10, debugging will continue. See, debugger is not came to the next point here. Where the debugger is? Debugger is in calculate sum method. It's jumped from the main method to the calculate sum. So always use debugger in your coding. It will be easy to see how the things are flowing. 50, 65. So here I am using the local variable called total and the sum is done. And return type. What is the return type? Is integer. So it is returning an integer value. So now this total will be assigned to this one, what we are using in the main function. Press F10 again. After this, when the sub program or sub method is done, when this purpose or then this calculation is done here, it will go back and assign the values to the variable total and it will come to the next line now. You assign the value and it came down. Then right. Okay. We are not displaying the total here. Okay. So we have displaying the total here. We need to display the total, right? Let's do. Click again comes the debugger. See, things after calculating total, it is now coming in the below line. It is jumping to the method to the calculator because we kept the debugger here. We are seeing how the things are going on internally, how it is calculating. It is going to return the value because we are using the return type as an integer. And it can assign the values as a total. In the output, you can see the marks. 2 of them, right? So I say only for the one line, why need to come back? I will display this total here itself. Okay, no need to go back. I will calculate here itself and I will display the result itself. So I'm not going to return anything. If you're not going to return anything, then what we have said, the modifier what we have to use, return type has to be void. Void in the sense we are not returning anything. So if you have observed, as soon as I write the void, means there is no return type, it's giving the error for the return. It says return type is void. You can see here in the error box saying returns void. A keyword must not follow by object expressions, means we cannot return it. You are saying void means nothing. It's not going to return anything. You are returning something. That's wrong. It's saying. Just we'll close here. We'll remove the return type. So what is happening now? This value is not going to get any response from this method. Why it's not going to get any response? We are not returning anything. Just we're taking the values, we're calculating, we're doing some total and displaying. Okay, that is fine. Then why it is giving error here? Why it is giving error means here I am expecting some return type, right? Here I am expecting the value, the return value I am expecting total. When it is not returning anything, how can I assign any value to here? So we cannot even use variable to store the value for what it is returning. In the previous example, it is returning a value. Now we said no need of return, do the things here itself, display the value in the same method. No need of return, so we have to remove the variable. So directly we are calling, there is no variable, directly we are calling the method with the same parameters. See now how the things will go. Fine. Continuous. Okay, this function is came, took the 3 variables, and after directly come to the, it is going to jump the method what you are calling here, which what you are calling, we are calling for the calculate sum. It will assign the values from the parameters what you are passing here. Okay. I am doing the calculation, I am doing the total. So, and it is now going to return. After the calculation done, you are going to get the same result. Means when it doesn't mean that here you can see calculate is there, you are not using and displaying anything here, you are displaying here. It doesn't mean that the program after displaying it will end here itself. No, while ending also again it will come for the main program until this closing brace, it will execute and stop. Okay, it doesn't mean that okay, I'm not doing any operation after this method in the main program. Program is we are handling in the sub program, we are calculating and we are displaying in a sub program. Even though after this program, after displaying value here, again it will come for the main program. In main program, until the closing brace, it will check anything is there or not, then it will close it. So you can see what's happening? It is doing total calculating. After calculating, there is no return type. It is returning nothing. And again, you can come to the next line from after executing the code from the sub part from sub program, coming to the next line. Whatever the next line in the main program will be there, it is keep on operating here. If there is nothing, that's the reason it is closing. If it's anything, if you're calling any other another method there, then it will execute that method. Okay. So the previous one what we did, parameters with return type. Now this is method with parameters with no return type. And in previous example what we did that this is parameter with return type. Okay, this will give the error because we have not written the signature. We are return type is void here. Okay, this is the parameters with return type. If you want to go with, we have to make it as an integer, then we have to return a value. Okay, and another one is that we will go for it. Another example we check is that parameter, no parameter. Don't confuse, parameter and arguments both are same. Parameter and arguments both are same. Method with no parameter, we will do another example like, and no return type. Okay, this will okay. Just what I do, I need a method called calculate. I don't want to pass any parameters. See, this was setting an initial parameters. I don't want to pass any parameters. Just we will remove this. Then how to assign the values? Then this, as of now for this example, I will pack this. I just will do everything here. So you can see now in the main program there is nothing is there. In the first main program just we are calling the calculate sum. I am not passing any parameters, and this is not using any parameters because the calling function is not using any parameters. So everything I have to manage in here itself. I need to create a variables, I need to do the calculation, and I need to display. This is a method we are using with no parameters and the no return type. Okay. Just click and going to go for the first F10. F10 will go for the debugging. If you want to directly go for the jump, then you can use F12 also. But in this example, F10 is okay because we are going in the same page, right? So calculation system, we are getting the result. So another type is that we'll go with method with no parameter, but I want return type. I want return type. Okay. So why it's giving error? Here I said it's no why. I said why no return. So I will say okay, return type will be the integer. I will pass the integer here. So even this is we are trying to do with all possibilities. With parameters with return type, with parameters no return type, no parameters no return type, and no parameters with return type. It says I'm gonna walk the I'm not passing any parameters here, but whatever the result of this method, whatever the calculation is done in the method, I want as a return. I want to see that return type there. I want to see the value whatever is done, because the return whatever calculation is done, That result I'm going to use in my further part, in the further part of my coding. So even though I'm not passing any parameters, okay, whatever the function is go, I want that return value. That value I will use in the further part of the coding. In that scenarios, we can go for, just click F10. So initially it all be the default value will be assigned. What is the default value for the integer? 0, right? 0. It will be the default value until you assign the value from your end. It is calculating, and what it is returning? It's returning an integer value called 213. Return type is integer. Okay, you see, we got a return value from the calculate sum method, and that method I'm using in the other part of the coding. And what we got the result, right? So this is about the example of methods. We have seen through the uh, four possibilities: methods with parameters, no return type; method with no parameters and no return type; methods with parameters with return type; and no parameters with return type. Okay, it means that it's a flexible. We can do any kind of methods. It doesn't mean that parameters are mandatory, because why we did this example is that we get confusion in our mind. Okay, as per syntax, what we are seeing in the syntax, parameter is there. Is a parameter mandatory? Okay, in the syntax, return type is there. Is return type mandatory? So that's becoming our mind, because we can say that parameter and the return type are not mandatory. It depends on your code. It depends on the function what you are calling. If the calling function is expecting the return, see here it's expecting the return, but in this example, in this line, here it is not accepting any return type. It says it is just calling. In that case, return type is not mandatory. When the return type is not mandatory, we have to go with the void. Void in the sense we are not returning anything from this function. Are parameters mandatory? Depends on your calling function. If your calling function passing a value, then you have to take those values in your function here. Same. If you're not matching with the parameters what the main function is using, then it will throw an error. So the return type and the parameters depends on your function which it is calling. Based on that, we have to design it. If the main function is sending the parameters for the calculate sum, then those variable we have to use it. If it is not sending any parameters, then we can ignore it. Means we have to create those variables here itself. Whatever the means it is not sending any variables. So depending upon your code, depending upon your whatever the purpose of the method, why you creating the method, based on that we can design it. Okay. So this is just a small introduction, starting to the methods, and better we wind up today here. And so tomorrow we will discuss about we'll go a little bit deeper in the methods and the functions, and we will see about the overloading. Overriding is a polymorphism that we'll discuss in the OOPS concepts. For the next session, we can discuss about the overloading method. Overloading, very important topic, and especially in perspective of interview, this is a very hit point. Every interview will going to ask about this. The first question they will be difference between overloading and overriding. 100% fixed question. Every interviewer, everyone wants to discuss regarding this, and very important things also. In our coding part, even in the real-time scenario, we'll use many times. So very important concepts. Overloading we will see in the next session. Overriding, it comes under the polymorphisms. When we discuss about the OOPS concept very soon, in next 2 to 3 class, we'll start the OOPS concepts. In OOPS concepts, we will see the overriding. Okay, method overriding. Method overriding is a dynamic way. Okay, method overriding is not dynamic. At the compiler level itself, it will check what are the matching parameters, is the matching signatures. Method overriding is a dynamic. It will not check at the compiler level. It will check at the runtime whether the method which we are calling has the same signatures or not. Okay. So tomorrow we will discuss about the different examples, how to handle the methods, what are the return types, and with some different scenarios and different examples, and we will discuss about the overloading. Okay.